There's an old saying that when the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, then suddenly all of your problems start to look like nails. And I think that's the problem that the institution of marriage is facing right now. It's trying to fill too many roles, and it's incapable and was never designed to fill these roles. The resulting dissatisfaction with marriage as a whole is what is driving a lot of the divorces and separations and failed relationships that we're seeing today. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, because I think that with a little better understanding of marriage as an institution and what it's meant to do and how it works and what we're expecting of it, we can get a clearer idea of what's going on. The first thing we need to recognize is that marriage was created thousands of years ago to solve a problem. The problem was women without protection and children without food were at risk, and the society, the tribe, the community as a whole was at risk of extinction unless these children and women were taken care of, and in a committed way. And so marriage became the answer. And this created a structure for Western civilization to be built upon. And you can certainly make a very strong argument that historically, marriage is probably one of the key reasons why Western civilization has been so successful over the last few thousand years. But all that being said, over the last 100 years, 120 years, technology and culture has gone into fast forward when it comes to change and evolution. And I would argue that a lot of these changes were kind of inevitable. That I know that there are people who argue that this is a conspiracy, but I think I would argue back that a lot of this stuff was going to happen no matter what. It's just inevitable. Whether there's someone conspiring to make it happen or whether it's just happening on its own. When you look at the big picture, say here in Western civilization, democracy has been an instrumental part of our rise to power. Democracy, by its very nature, is always leaning towards granting more freedom and more independence for its citizens, period. And gender equality was inevitable because any way you cut it, inevitably, you couldn't maintain any kind of a society if you were going to disadvantage half the population and limit their rights. And that's why over 100 years ago, women started demanding, and rightly so, demanding their rights. The right to vote, the right to work, the right to be paid equally, the right to be treated equally in the workplace. And it would be immoral to suggest that that should be reversed in any way, shape, or form. So that was how democracy plays into the dissolution of marriage in the long run. The second thing is technology. So when you incentivize people to build and do things, you develop new technologies all the time. And the birth control pill is absolutely a technology that transformed our society as we know it. Before the birth control pill, which I think came out in 1960, women had no power over pregnancy except to deny a man access to her sexual opportunity. And after the birth control pill, women suddenly had a lot more freedom to control when they were going to get pregnant and with whom they were going to get pregnant. And it also gave them the ability to offer sexual opportunity to more men. Now, women, by their nature, going back to the beginning of time, have been hypergamous. Even the first cave women were looking for the biggest, baddest caveman to take care of them and their family, period. That's still true today. You can say, oh, hypergamy is a result of Facebook or Instagram. It's not. No, the first cave lady, yeah, she was looking for the biggest, baddest caveman with the biggest, baddest club to protect her. And so it goes on. Once women had control of their reproduction, it was just a natural follow-on that they would be wanting to explore different aspects of life, improving their education, becoming more independent, developing careers, all of that. It's inevitable. I mean, you offer people more freedom, and what are they going to do? They're going to take advantage of it, as they should. So now you fast forward to today, where hypergamy is still their primary motive, trying to find the biggest, baddest caveman. And you add into that their education and their careers, and suddenly you've got to be a lot bigger and badder if you're going to attract the highest quality women. I mean, it's just simple as that. The market has changed significantly, and women are no longer dependent on men to be the biggest, baddest. They can be big and bad. They can be the boss lady. You know, we all make fun of it, but yeah, they can actually do that. Now, they may be sacrificing relationships and children and all that stuff, but at least they have that choice. Then we layer on top of that the advent of the internet, which brings social media, which gives women an opportunity to see what everybody else is doing, which, you know, compounds the hypergamy problem. And then you throw in porn, which suddenly means men aren't driven quite as hard to match up with these girls. And men can go their own way, if you will, and they can avoid entanglements with women if they want. So just from that macro view of marriage as an institution, you can see that it's very clearly something that isn't working at a cultural or a societal level. But it's also not working for individuals either. And let's talk about that. Then on an independent level or on an individual level, marriage isn't working either. So an institution that started thousands of years ago for the purposes of raising children has been transformed into some kind of a romantic vehicle for the purposes of connecting soulmates in this quasi relationship of fulfilling all of the needs of the other person. And that includes all of the different roles: friend, lover, confidant, counselor, co-worker, co-parent, to healing all the childhood trauma and all the world doesn't understand me issues that people have. And, well, no wonder it's not working. Marriage can't do that. And if you're looking outside of yourself for someone to tell you you're whole, then you're not whole. You're just not, you know, and you're not gonna be until you can look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm everything I need to be. So when you combine all of the historical and cultural changes that we have seen over the last, you know, really starting off 1,000 years, but more focused in on the last 100, 150 years, it's very easy to see the progression toward marriage being an institution that has outlived its usefulness. Right now, we are in a period of transition. And as I mentioned in my video about loss earlier in the week, about death and you know, loss of loved ones and loss of jobs and all that stuff, the loss of marriage as a keystone to our culture and our society is a tough thing to handle, and we are in a transition period right now. Now, the wonderful thing about transitions is they eventually will end, and we will come through this, and we will have a new answer. There will be something different at the end of it. In the meantime, it's going to be difficult. And as men, the best way that we can defend ourselves against the pitfalls of a failing institution is to just not get involved with it, at least not for finding a soulmate. I mean, if you want to raise kids, then maybe a marriage is a way to go for you. But you're going to have to go in with your eyes wide open and make sure that your partner is someone that is of low risk as humanly possible, you know, and you're really going to have to play the game with her the entire time. And that means you're going to have to let her adore you. You're going to have to maintain control of the emotional aspects of that relationship. But that's a whole nother video. The romanticizing of marriage is probably the most important thing that has doomed it, because when we started seeing marriage as something outside of just a tool, something that we can use to achieve a purpose, and turned it into this emotional savior, this path that we can use to find ourselves and do it through the eyes of another, was when we probably doomed marriage for good, because the institution is a humble institution. It's not one that can carry the load of all of your life's transgressions and all the things that give you pain and your need to be understood and, you know, to be that unconditional lover and, you know, all that goes with it. It's just too much. It's just too much. You know, there are other relationships for that. You know? All right, you guys, that's all I got for you today. Please remember to like and subscribe and share this video with other guys if you think that would be useful to them, especially guys that are considering marriage. You know, I think they need to get a better perspective of what they might be getting themselves into. All right, that's all I got. I'll see you in the next video. Please remember, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.